Toronto, 1969. The ninth floor restaurant at Eaton's. Your grandmother is eating chicken pot pie right now, and she has no idea that in 8 years, this room will be gone. Not because the food was bad, not because people stopped coming, but because of a decision made in a boardroom in 1975 that nobody saw coming. And I found out what that decision was. I was 8 when my grandmother took me to Eaton's for lunch. She wore her good coat like we were going somewhere important, because we were. She ordered the chicken pot pie. I got the hot turkey sandwich. She told me stories about bringing my mother here when she was my age, about the fashion shows, about the waitress named Margaret, who'd worked there for 30 years and knew everyone's order by heart. 3 months later, the restaurant closed. My grandmother cried when she found out. I didn't understand why until I was older. She wasn't crying about a restaurant. She was crying because a piece of her life, a piece of who she was, had just been erased. Eaton's dining rooms weren't just restaurants. They were destinations, rituals, and for 130 years, they were woven into the fabric of Canadian life. Timothy Eaton opened his first store in Toronto in 1869, but the dining rooms came later, in the early 1900s, when department stores realized that women, the primary shoppers, needed somewhere to rest, eat, and continue shopping without leaving the building. The early Eaton's restaurants were elegant: white tablecloths, china plates, waitresses in crisp uniforms. They served proper meals, roast beef, chicken, fish, at prices working families could afford. This wasn't fast food. This was sit-down, take-your-time dining that made shopping feel like an event. By the 1930s, every major Eaton's location had a dining room. Toronto, Montreal, Winnipeg, each one designed to reflect the city's character whilst maintaining that unmistakable Eaton's standard. The 1950s and 60s were when Eaton's dining rooms became part of Canadian identity. The ninth floor restaurant in Toronto's College Street store was legendary. Art Deco murals, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. It wasn't just a restaurant, it was a showpiece. Remember walking in and hitting that wall of smell? Roasting chicken, fresh bread, coffee brewing in those massive percolators that gurgled all day long. But there was something else, too, that specific department store smell mixing with the food. Perfume from the cosmetics counter, one floor down, the leather from the shoe department, all of it swirling together into something that could only be Eaton's. That smell would hit you the second the elevator doors opened on the 9th floor. Your mouth would start watering before you even saw the dining room, and it would cling to your coat all afternoon, a reminder that you'd been somewhere special. The food was simple but executed perfectly. The chicken pot pie was legendary: flaky pastry, rich gravy, chunks of chicken and vegetables. The hot turkey sandwich came with mashed potatoes, peas, and gravy that soaked into thick white bread. The waitresses were part of the experience. Older women, mostly, who'd worked at Eaton's for decades. They'd bring coloring books for kids. Remember that your mom always ordered her coffee with extra cream and sneak you an extra scoop of ice cream if you'd been good. The fashion shows were legendary. Models would walk between the tables, showing the latest styles. Women would have lunch, watch the show, then head downstairs to buy what they'd just seen. It was retail theater, and it worked brilliantly. Christmas at Eaton's was magical. After visiting Santa, families would have lunch surrounded by decorations and the buzz of holiday shopping. For many Canadian families, that meal was as much a tradition as the tree itself. And if you remember what they called the special Thursday lunch deal, the one that wasn't on the menu but everyone knew about, drop it in the comments. Let's see who the real Eaton's regulars are. But here's what nobody knew in 1975. Whilst families were still packing the 9th floor restaurant every Saturday, Eaton's corporate office was running the numbers. The dining room was taking up 12,000 square feet. That same space could hold 3 retail departments, generating 40% more revenue. On paper, it was an easy decision. Close the restaurant, expand ladies' wear. They calculated profit per square foot. They measured efficiency. They looked at spreadsheets. but they never measured what couldn't be put in a spreadsheet. Loyalty, tradition, the fact that women came to Eaton specifically because they could have lunch there. In 1977, they closed the ninth-floor restaurant. Revenue in the College Street store dropped 18% within 6 months. Turns out, when you take away the reason people come, they stop coming. By the 1980s, the retail landscape was changing, and Eaton's couldn't keep up. Malls were multiplying, competition was intensifying, and shopping habits were shifting. People wanted convenience, not experience. They wanted to grab lunch at the food court, not sit down for a proper meal. Eaton's tried to adapt. They modernized menus, updated decor, introduced faster service. But these changes often alienated the loyal customers who'd loved Eaton's for what it was. The dining rooms started closing in the late 80s and early 90s. Not all at once, but gradually, as leases expired or stores were renovated. Each closure was quiet, barely noticed by anyone except the regulars who'd been coming for decades. The space was converted to retail, then offices, then eventually many buildings were sold. The murals were painted over, the Art Deco fixtures were removed. The restaurants that had fed generations of Canadians disappeared like they'd never existed. So what really killed Eaton's dining rooms? Here's the brutal truth nobody wants to hear. We didn't just choose convenience over experience. We actively destroyed the idea that shopping could be anything other than a transaction. We chose the food court because it was faster. We chose grab and go because sitting down felt like wasting time. We turned shopping from an all-day occasion into a 45-minute chore. And then we wondered why retail died, why department stores closed, why downtowns emptied out. Now look, I get it. Life got busier. Both parents working, no time for 3-hour shopping trips. But here's what we didn't realize. Those 3-hour shopping trips with a proper lunch in the middle, that wasn't wasted time. That was life. That was your grandmother teaching you how to be in the world. That was community. That was why downtowns mattered. We traded all of that for the ability to buy jeans in 20 minutes. And we lost something we can never get back. And here's the controversial part. Maybe we deserve to lose Eaton's. Maybe a culture that can't sit still for a 30-minute lunch doesn't deserve department stores with dining rooms. Maybe a society that values speed over everything else gets exactly the shopping experience it deserves: soulless, big-box stores, and Amazon delivery. Eaton's dining rooms required something from us: time, patience, the willingness to slow down. And we decided we didn't want to give that anymore, so they disappeared, and now we act surprised that shopping feels empty. But here's something most people don't know about Eaton's final years. According to former employees, in 1997, there were rumors of a proposal to save the dining room concept. A group wanted to spin off the restaurants as a separate entity, independent of the struggling retail operation. They wanted to preserve the recipes, the service style, the atmosphere. They allegedly had investors lined up, locations scouted, a whole business plan built around the idea that Canadians still wanted what Eaton's dining rooms offered. The company reportedly said no. They were focused on saving the retail business, and they didn't want to complicate the restructuring. The proposal died in a boardroom, and with it died the last chance to preserve something that had mattered to generations of Canadians. When Eaton's declared bankruptcy in 1999, ending 130 years of Canadian retail history, the dining rooms were already mostly gone. For everyone who remembers them, the memories are vivid: the smell of chicken pot pie, the sound of china plates and silverware, the feeling of sitting in a booth whilst your mom finished her coffee and you colored in the book the waitress brought you. These weren't just restaurants. They were part of the rhythm of Canadian life, where you went after buying school clothes, before seeing Santa, or just because it was Saturday and that's what you did. Walk into a department store today and you'll find retail space, maybe a small cafe, but nothing like what Eaton's offered. Nothing that makes you want to sit down, to linger, to make shopping into an experience rather than a transaction. We didn't just lose restaurants when Eaton's dining rooms closed. We lost gathering places, rituals, and a way of shopping that prioritized experience over efficiency. The rise and fall of Eaton's dining rooms is a story about what we lost when we chose convenience over connection. For 130 years, Eaton's understood that shopping was about more than buying things. It was about experience, about taking time, about making ordinary errands into occasions worth remembering. The dining rooms were the heart of that philosophy. They were where shopping paused, where you sat down and were taken care of, where a simple lunch became a memory that would last decades. Eaton's is gone now. The stores are closed, the buildings repurposed, the dining rooms demolished or converted. But for anyone who ate chicken pot pie on the 9th floor, those memories remain. And those memories remind us that shopping used to mean something different, that taking time used to be valued, not wasted, that sitting down for a proper meal wasn't an inconvenience, but part of what made the day special. Here's what I'm doing. If 10,000 of you share your Eaton's dining room memories in the comments, I'm going to track down former employees, collect every photo I can find, and create a permanent digital archive. These stories deserve to be preserved. Help me make sure your grandchildren know what we lost. Which location? What did you order? Who did you go with? What do you miss most? Tell me everything. And if this hit you with nostalgia, hit that like button and subscribe. Because we've got more stories about the Canada we remember, the one that's disappearing but lives on in our memories. Thanks for watching, and remember, the best restaurants aren't measured by how long they lasted, but by how much they mattered whilst they were here.